Nobody is thinking about you, not the way you think they are, not the way you fear they are. Right now, somewhere out there, the person you spent 3 sleepless nights worried about has already moved on, consumed by their own deadlines, their own insecurities, their own quiet wars. They aren't replaying your conversation. They aren't analyzing your mistake. They're just living, and so is everyone else. This is the truth nobody tells you, not because it's cruel, but because it cuts too close to something we all quietly do. We place ourselves at the center of other people's worlds and then suffer when we realize we were never really there. You've been performing for an audience that left, monitoring your words, rehearsing your explanations, editing yourself before you even speak, building a version of yourself designed to be approved of, to be chosen, to be enough in someone else's eyes. And it's exhausting not because people are unkind, but because their eyes were never really watching to begin with. This isn't a video about becoming cold. It's not a call to isolate. It's something rare, a reminder, sharp and necessary, that the most liberating thing you can do with your one life is stop asking the world to validate it. Nobody cares about you the way you think. And the moment you truly accept that, everything changes. Stay to the end, because there's one shift in thinking used by an emperor, of all people, that makes this idea impossible to unsee. There's a psychological phenomenon researchers call the spotlight effect. It was studied by Thomas Gilovich and Kenneth Savitsky at Cornell University, and what they found was quietly devastating. When people make a mistake, spill something, say the wrong thing, wear the wrong outfit, they consistently overestimate how much other people noticed. They walk away convinced everyone saw, everyone judged, everyone remembered. But almost nobody noticed. And the few who did forgot almost immediately, because they were too busy managing their own internal spotlight, their own embarrassments, their own anxieties. You are not the exception to this. Neither am I. Think about the last time you said something in a group and replayed it in your head for hours, afterward analyzing your tone, second-guessing your word choice, building an entire courtroom in your mind with yourself as both defendant and judge. Meanwhile, the room had already moved on. They were thinking about dinner. They were drafting a text message. They were managing their own invisible courtroom. That's the tragedy, not that the audience doesn't exist, but how much of your life you spend performing for it anyway, editing your opinions before sharing them, dressing not for yourself, but for some imagined observer, making real, life-altering decisions based on how they might look to people who will barely think about you twice. Marcus Aurelius understood this centuries before psychology gave it a name. He wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me we all love ourselves more than other people, yet we care more about their opinion than our own." Read that again. You love yourself more than you love anyone else, and yet you have the power to define your worth to people whose opinions you'd never extend that kind of trust to if they asked for it directly. Here's the part most people skip: why we do this in the first place. Humans evolved in small tribal communities, where being rejected from the group was a literal death sentence. Your nervous system doesn't fully know the difference between social rejection and physical danger. When someone criticizes you, ignores you, or excludes you, the same ancient alarm fires. You feel it in your chest. That's not weakness, that's wiring. But here's what the Stoics would remind you. Just because something is wired doesn't mean it's wise. Just because your brain sounds the alarm doesn't mean the threat is real. The tribe doesn't abandon you to the wilderness anymore for saying something awkward at a gathering. It's not just biology either. As a child, you needed to feel that you mattered to the people around you. That's a normal part of attachment. But if love felt conditional growing up, something you earned by performing correctly, your mind drew a quiet conclusion. I am only worthy when I am approved of. That belief has been running in the background of your adult life ever since. Social media didn't create this wiring, it just industrialized it. Every like, every comment, every view becomes a microdose of validation. Your nervous system reads as momentary worth. You're being trained to need attention. Epictetus cut through all of it with one line. Man is disturbed not by things, but by his opinions about things. The validation you're chasing was never really about other people's opinion of you. It's about your own opinion of yourself, temporarily borrowed from others because you haven't yet learned to generate it internally. And borrowed self-worth has to be constantly renewed. It never quite satisfies. Even Marcus Aurelius, a man who ruled an empire and had the approval of millions, still had to remind himself daily, in private journals never meant for public eyes, not to be seduced by the crowd's praise, receive without pride, release without struggle. He wrote, even at the height of external validation, he understood the moment you need the applause to feel whole, you've handed your inner peace to something that can be taken from you without warning. Now here's where this gets uncomfortable, because understanding why isn't the same as being free from it. And there's a cost to all this performing that most people never actually calculate. Let's talk about what it's really taking from you. There's a version of your life you are not living. It exists in the space between what you actually want and what you've allowed yourself to pursue. Compressed, quieted, made safe enough not to invite judgment. This is the true cost of living for others, not just the exhaustion of people-pleasing, though that's real. The deeper cost is identity erosion, the slow, almost invisible wearing away of who you actually are when you spend years prioritizing who others need you to be. You have opinions you've never voiced because the room felt too comfortable with its own consensus. Ambitions you quietly buried because someone important responded with doubt. Friendships you kept past their expiration date because ending them felt unkind, not realizing that staying in something hollow is unkind to yourself. Psychologists call this self-silencing, and it's consistently linked to anxiety, depression, and the loss of authentic identity. When you suppress your genuine reactions and boundaries to manage other people's comfort, you're not being polite. You're training yourself through repetition that your truth matters less than their ease, and it never announces itself loudly. It whispers. It frames itself as kindness, as maturity, as not making things difficult. It convinces you that shrinking is grace. It is not. It is a slow disappearance. Seneca wrote, all things are alien to us. Time alone is ours. When you spend your finite time curating a version of yourself for other people's approval, you're not just wasting time. You're spending the one resource that never comes back on something that will never pay you back in full. Think about the real decisions where someone else's opinion cast the deciding vote, the path you didn't take because of someone's expectations, the relationship you stayed in past the point of honesty, the work you never shared because imagining criticism felt worse than staying silent. And here's the part that stings most. Most of the people whose approval you were protecting have already moved on. They're not thinking about those moments. They're living their own lives, managing their own invisible audience. The sacrifice you made wasn't even properly witnessed. You gave something real for a standing ovation that never came. This isn't meant to create bitterness. Bitterness just hands other people power over your emotions again. It's meant to create clarity. Final thought. There's one more distinction worth making, because most people confuse these two things their whole lives. Attention and love. They look similar from a distance. They both feel warm when they arrive, and they both sting when they're absent. But attention is cheap. Anyone can give it. Someone can watch your every move, text you constantly, seem completely absorbed in your life, not out of love, but out of habit, loneliness, or a need to feel needed. Attention is a behavior. Love is a commitment. The Stoics were never cold people, by the way. Marcus Aurelius loved deeply his family, his friends, his citizens. Seneca had rich, genuine friendships. What made them Stoic wasn't the absence of care. It was the refusal to let other people's judgment become the measure of their worth. They separated love from approval, sharply and deliberately. You can love someone without needing their approval to feel whole. So ask yourself honestly, what version of your life have you been postponing? What have you wanted to say, do, or become that you've kept compressed in the name of keeping everyone else comfortable? The audience you've been performing for was never really watching. It's you, your own fears, wearing other people's faces, and the only real audience you've ever had, the only one paying close, constant, unbroken attention to your life is you. Start performing for that one. If you're ready to stop performing and start living for yourself, drop "I choose me" in the comments. Let that be your declaration, not for us, but for you.